You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
Hi and welcome to the Podzine, dated Monday now let's get this right because I made a mistake last week, the 19th of November, 2007.
It's a podcast. It's a magazine. No, it's a podzine.
Hi everybody and welcome once again to the Podzine, the outdoor magazine show for outdoors lovers everywhere around the world, wherever you may be listening. So thanks once again for joining me. Thanks for it's always nice to know who's listening. Thanks very much for any emails and support you've been sending to me through the various methods, and in particularly thank you for the mentions on the various blog sites. There are quite a few bloggers who listen to the show on a regular basis, and it's always nice to have them as an audience. And thank them very much for mentioning the show and spreading the word, which is the whole point, to get this out and about to a much wider audience if we can. Remember, if you've got any news or any events or anything like that going on, you want to drop me a line and let me know exactly what's happening, and we can mention it in a forthcoming show, then please do so. The email address is, of course, on the website, which is theoutdoorstation.co.uk, and the email address is info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk. Well, let's move into this week's show. It's got one interview this week's show, and that's with Colin Prior, who, in my view, is probably the best landscape photographer I will ever have the privilege to speak with. He's a lovely chap as well, and he's explaining what's going on with him. And there's talk of something which may be of interest to those of you who has got a partner who's desperate to get you something in the outdoors world. And if you like your photography, then have a listen to the interview. There might be something on there that you could just sort of subtly, slip under their noses when they're not looking and say, phone this number now. So we're talking to him about that. Then, of course, we've got the Outdoors Diary, and I've been hunting around actually, trying to find some information about any events or walking get-togethers or whatever that are happening over the next few weeks over the Christmas period in the Midlands area and below, because everything seems to be sort of north of Derbyshire and the lakes, really. So I found a few things to talk about and mention, so I'll give those a bit of a push and a bit of publicity. Of course, we've got our competition winner to congratulate and mention to win the Alpkit Pipe Dream 400 sleeping bag. Had loads of entries for that, so thanks to all of you for entering that, and please keep your entries coming, because we've also got another competition to win another £120 worth of prizes at the end of this show. But first, let's have a little bit of gossip. I know many listeners have been customers or associated with Planet Fear, obviously over on the adventure racing side, and picking up information there, which has always been a great resource. And I had an email from them just lately, sort of a general newsletter type thing, and I thought I might just pass that on to listeners who might have missed it, just to fill them in with exactly what's been happening. Now, as you'll probably remember, around October time, sadly, Planet Fear ceased to trade. There was very little notice about it. It just suddenly happened, and the first I noticed was various comments on forums, people saying what's happened too. But I just thought I'd read the newsletter out to you, and you can pass it on to other interested parties. Dear Planet Fear reader, a lot has happened since the last Planet Fear email. First of all, although there's been no emails from us, it doesn't mean that there hasn't been some excellent new content added. Choose from the 8 original feature articles listed below from either the climbing or adventure racing content channels, and check out the news stories that have been added on an almost a daily basis. So that's all been going on as normal. So what's been happening here? At the beginning of October, the company which owned Planet Fear got into financial trouble, and as a result, the Planet Fear website was sold to new owners. Doesn't actually mention who the new owners are, actually. But so what does this mean? Well, for now, the shop has been turned off, but new free content is still being added as before, and we expect the shop to be back online within a few weeks in time for Christmas. Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. What's going to happen with Planet Fear? The Planet Fear website website will remain online and continue to publish great content on a weekly basis. We'll continue to update the news as it happens, and you'll be the first to know. And the shop will be relaunched very shortly. So there's no actual comment of who it's from or who the company is that's bought it. But if you have any questions, you can contact them at help@planetfear.com. That's help@planetfear.com. Now, we don't normally do job vacancies on the show, but something caught my eye that's been floating around the internet the last few days, and I thought it might be worth sharing it with you. Well, it's a job interview looking for a camping instructor wanted for a television show, obviously a reality show, which is got to be taken quite seriously as being something that we could all share in and perhaps help educate and enthuse others into the outdoor lifestyle. And it reads like this. Playboy TV is looking for a male skilled to professional camper that can teach 4 Playboy models the fundamentals of camping. That's pitching tents, collecting firewood, tips for cooking in the wilderness, etc. for our hit show Hot Babes Doing Stuff Naked. No nudity required for the male instructor, however, they must be comfortable around nude models. For immediate consideration, please send your picture, contact info and bio of experience and skills to casting director Madison Smith at casting@playboy.com. And you must be available for a meet and greet, whatever that is. So the shooting date apparently is 30th of November, so you've only got a couple of weeks to get your entries in. The rate is about the £120 for the day, or 4 to 6 hours apparently. And I don't know, it's not very attractive, is it? That sort of money, especially got to fly to Los Angeles apparently, where it's all happening. And of course, camping in Los Angeles, I can just imagine being quite an exciting thing to do, looking for firewood and tents and such like. Anyway, so that's the job section over. Now let's move on to our interview with Colin. Now, Colin Prior, probably to most outdoors people, who will know that he is a superb photographer. His photographs appear in books and calendars, as well as all sort of editorial subjects, and his quality of work is second to none. In fact, I think he's probably the best landscape photographer, in my opinion. It's certainly in the UK, if not the world. I've not seen anything that competes with the quality of his output. And when I spoke to Colin, which was probably a couple of years ago now, I didn't realise it. I thought it was only 12 months ago, but apparently it was 2 years ago. He was talking that he was starting some photographic courses. And I thought, what a great idea that would be for people to get involved and see the world through his eyes and learn a lot in the process. I do a bit of photography, and I'm sure a lot of people in the outdoors do as well. It was just something that caught my eye. Anyway, I read recently that these courses have now been running for a while, and he is taking people not just in the UK but also further afield as well. So I managed to catch up with him the other day, and literally the day before he was leaving for Bhutan with some photographers to take them on one of their courses. It sounds absolutely marvellous. So, let Colin explain the story.
Well, we're leaving tomorrow for Bhutan. We fly to Delhi and then on to Paro, and I'm taking on this trip 7 photographers with me, and we plan to do a traverse from west to east, which will culminate in 2 festivals, which tourism hasn't really discovered yet. So it's going to be a real privilege to photograph some of the local customs that take place at these festivals.
I mean, Bhutan is certainly not very high on people's tourist list, so it really is some. I mean, to do a photographic course as well, or photographic trip, is quite exciting.
Well, it is, and many of the group members are extremely excited about travelling there. It's a destination that they seem to have wanted to travel to for some time. I've been fortunate enough to have travelled there twice before, once in 1997, and I went back in 2002 and took my daughter, who at the time was 10 years old, and she enjoyed it enormously. And was very much the centre of attraction, because what children in Bhutan don't see are Western children. It tends to be a travel connoisseur's place, and So when she found herself at the festivals at which I was photographing, she became very much the centre of attraction, and of course, being a young girl of 10 years old, enjoyed it immensely.
And so it's continued for the last few years, I'm sure.
Indeed.
I'm fascinated to know when I last spoke to you, probably 12 months or so ago, you were setting these courses up, and just give us an idea, because I'm sure there are many photographers who would love to have the chance to do something like this in your company and learn as much as they possibly can, whether it's abroad or in the UK or in Scotland. Is it full on, day and night photography all the way through, or is it sort of a bit of tourist, relaxing as well?
Well, Bob, it's really a combination of both these aspects. People are coming on a break, they're coming on a holiday, and the courses are designed for people to learn in that environment. Each day we maximise the photographic potential that's possible that day, and on the trips that I take out to Noida, which are based on a boat, we don't live in the boat, I charter the boat and we use that as a vehicle to reach some of the small isles, Muck, Reg, Egg, Rum and Canna, and we also get across to Skye, but people appreciate when they come that it's ultimately the wind direction that determines where and when we can go to these islands. So the emphasis is on maximising photographic opportunity. In the evenings I give tutorials, I give people more information about photographing in the outdoors and in wild places. And interestingly, Bob, what amazes me is that people come along on these courses obviously with an aspiration to learn, which I seem to be able to fulfil, but they go away with a very different set of skills than they imagined they would go away with. I think they achieve what they want to, but they've got lots of different ways of looking at the landscape or outdoor photography in general than they had when they originally came.
Right. Is there? You've been doing these courses now. What for 12 months? Is that right?
Well, for 2 years. This is really the second year, and we're developing a range of experiences. Next year, we're talking currently to a number of hotel groups. And I've been asked by quite a number of people if I can run weekend courses and even day courses, which obviously have a shorter period of time, which is more convenient for some people, and also they'll be cheaper and would make an excellent Christmas present, for instance, or gift for someone.
Well, that was one of the reasons I thought I'd get in touch again, because I recognised instantly that obviously your photographs and the content over the years has become incredibly popular, and there's a wonderful skill and style that you have. Do you find that there's a typical profile of the type of person that joins you on these courses? Is there a certain age limit or a background at all?
There's not really, Bob. There's a wide cross-section of people coming on these trips. And a wide range of skill sets, but even people who have come originally with very little photographic knowledge have gone away very fulfilled, and in no way are they detrimental to the other groups. People come, and the key is for the group to bind, and if it binds well, then people will work at their own levels. But I've people that come, photographers that are coming along that are aspiring to become professional. They're perhaps working in some other area, perhaps IT or commerce, and they hope perhaps to become full-time photographers. They're maybe making some money from stock. There's other people that are retired or have taken early retirement who have some disposable income and who have engaged in digital photography. It's sort of fired their imagination, and they're really looking just for information about how to approach their subjects. And then there's other photographers that come along that are very accomplished, and they're wanting to try and pick up perhaps some of the techniques or approaches that you might make to the subject. So it's it's a wide variety of individuals that are coming along, and I can only say that we've been extremely lucky with the people that we've had, and the experiences this year and last year have all been welcomed by the participants, and everyone has got on in an excellent way.
The last 2 years since you've been doing these courses, you've obviously done a fair amount in the UK and in Scotland. What's the feedback been from doing it locally? Have people had their eyes opened to a whole new type of light and a whole new time of day?
Well, being in the locations that we're in, I try and maximise the opportunities to shoot at dusk and dawn if the conditions are suitable for that. And just 2 weeks ago, I had a group in Assynt, and which is above Liverpool, as some of the listeners will know, and others perhaps won't. But it's above Assynt. It's a fantastic area. The Inverpolly Nature Reserve is there, and there's some mountains such as Stackpolly, Sullivan, Canis, Culmore, and Kilbeeg. That are there. They're not the biggest mountains in Scotland, but they're just such a marvellous variety of shapes. And we spent a week there photographing in and around both the mountain and marine areas. But there were one or two people on that trip that really were amazed at what they managed to achieve insofar as getting on to not quite the top of Stackpolly, but we were just under the summit before dawn one morning, and witnessing and photographing the sun rising over Sullivan. And just the experience itself of being there, let alone photographing the fantastic colours that we witnessed that morning, was for them a great privilege. And one man in particular said to me that he would never have done that had he been on his own. He'd have felt that it was beyond his capabilities, and we just took it very easy and slowly went up the path, and he arrived there and achieved what the other group members managed to do as well.
That brings another question to mind. Have you found that a lot of people have found a certain reluctance or fear in going into the outdoors early in the morning, or sort of in the hours of darkness anyway, and there's a certain concern about their safety in sort of wild places?
Well, I mean, it's perhaps a concern for some people, but the courses that we're running can accommodate any group of abilities, and we're not really doing extreme trips within these. The great thing about the trips in Noida, as I mentioned, is that we are based on a daily boat. The boat's chartered, as I say, for the week, and we're getting out to the to the islands. We're making short walks into locations, many of them marine, some of them mountains in Skye, but we're not climbing to the top of the Coolins. We're going into parts of the Coolins, and we're doing workshops on location. But I wouldn't say that it's a concern, and certainly there haven't been any people on the trips that have not participated fully in the activities. Occasionally, perhaps, there's someone that decides that they kind of want a day to themselves, and maybe they want to look at their own images, work in their own images, or perhaps even to read, just to change the pace. After all, as we said at the beginning, it is a holiday for them. So we can accommodate a wide cross-section of people and abilities. But what I would say is that you've obviously got to be reasonably fit. You've got to be able to carry your own cameras over sometimes pretty rugged and rough moorland, or climb a small hill. But it's no more than that. It's not about testing people's physical abilities. It's about giving them opportunities to take images that they might not perhaps have done under their own efforts.
And I suppose it would be true to say that most people would assume that the best picture is from the top, but obviously that isn't necessarily the case. Quite,
Bob. In fact, just on Stackpolly, where, as I mentioned, we were 2 weeks ago, some of the fitter group members managed to get onto the summit, and my chosen location was probably a couple of 100 feet under that, and was actually a better location, and they sort of worked that out themselves, by the time that they descended, they guessed that they were slightly too high, and the perspectives, funnily enough, from the point that we'd chosen, are actually better. I know that from experience, of course. I've been in the summit, and often the summit is not the best place to be. It's just really to find a point that's high enough to open up the landscape and let the landscape reveal itself. That's really what it's about.
Well, I should imagine that would be one of the greatest things of going on a course like this, would then be to sit down in the studio afterwards and compare all your photographs together and suddenly realise with great clarity that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The wrong place at the right time.
Yes. So typically then, obviously the average person with average fitness can come on these courses and accommodate. You can accommodate them, no problem. Now, what about equipment? What sort of equipment would you expect people to bring with them? What would be best for them to benefit the best out of it?
Well, Bob, what's made this vehicle attractive is digital photography. I mean, it's just empowered people to go off into the sort of locations that I'm taking them to, where we can look and critique the images that they shoot in the evening, and that's really what gives these courses value. They're learning, and I'm looking at the images that they shoot in the evening and saying to them, I think this works very well, and I think this one doesn't work very well. And of course, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, as I keep telling people. So the answer to your question is a digital camera is really what I'm hoping that the clients will bring along with them, because they're going to get more out of that through the critique session. If they're going to shoot and film, I don't have a problem with that, but they're not going to benefit in the same way that those of the group members with digital cameras are in that respect. So I would say a digital camera, probably 2 zoom lenses, a mid-range zoom and perhaps something a bit longer, but something typically 24 to 70 and 70 to 200 would cover more than 90% of your photographic opportunities in most locations. And if people want then to add something a bit longer, a 300mm lens might be useful, but it's probably not going to be used to any great extent. So it's not all about equipment, it's knowing what to do with the equipment.
Yeah, indeed. I presume there's a tripod and various filters and whatever that would just be fill the bag out.
Absolutely. I mean, a tripod is essential. It's one of the items on my equipment list. I mean, what a tripod does, apart from eradicating camera shake, is it allows you to work at slower shutter speeds, stop your apertures down, and get real performance from the lens. And also, if you're shooting with telephoto lenses, again, it eradicates the danger of camera shake through the lens. I mean, image sharpness has got as much to do with camera shake as it has with lens design. So, I mean, I'm working in a tripod almost 98, 99% of the time. Occasionally there's the subject matter that you'll come up with in your best to not be in a tripod, but by and large, whether I'm shooting static or even in wildlife, I'll be in a tripod, because it gives you image sharpness, and that's really what you're trying to achieve so often.
Well, I'm sure you've whetted people's appetite here to possibly come along to one of your courses or one of your shorter courses. And as you say, all the details presumably are on your website. So could you just give people an idea of what's coming perhaps over the next 12 months so they can add it to their Christmas list and put it in front of their loved one?
We're just about to advertise 3 events in the early part of next year in Scotland at a hotel, and I just need final confirmation from them to confirm that. But that information will go onto the website in the next couple of weeks. These will be typically weekend courses and perhaps even a day course, and they'll be in Perthshire in Scotland. So they'll be reasonably easy to access, certainly for those people living in Scotland, and it will give us the opportunity to be in an environment where there is a superb collection of locations which we can use, and also the facilities to critique that work through digital projectors in one of the lecture theatres. So there'll be that. Next year there's two events again in Noida, one in June and one in September. There'll be another one in Ascent in September, and in conjunction with KE Adventure Travel, I'm going to be running probably 3 or 4 trips overseas, perhaps to Alaska, perhaps to Greenland, and details of these will be coming on to the website in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
And the website address is?
The normal website is www.colinprior.co.uk. There is a new website which will be launched in 2 weeks. The photography school website can be found through Google, but you'll get that at colinprior.com/photography school. But ultimately, when the new site is launched in a couple of weeks, everything will be found through the colinprior.co.uk address.
And I presume they're all going to be linked anyway to point you from one to the other.
They'll be under that one domain, and there'll be a gateway page to which you can find wherever you want to go on the site, whether it's the store, whether it's the photography school, or ultimately the picture library, which will come on next year.
Well, I'm very pleased for you that the courses have taken off, obviously, as well as they have, and they certainly sound fantastic and fascinating and very, very rewarding. So congratulations on that front. What about your own shooting? Have has that taken a bit of a back seat with all this time spent doing these courses?
Well, this year I haven't travelled as much as I've done in the past. I've been restructuring my business. And I've been just collecting my thoughts on where I'm going to go next, but I am working on 2 books at the moment. One will be a Scottish book which will be published in 2009, and the other will be a big international book which will probably be 2010. So this year I've just really focused my ideas on the format for these books, and I'm going to be spending time overseas and in Scotland over the next 2 or 3 years producing these books.
Well, you're a busy man as always, Colin, and thank you very much indeed for taking the time just before you disappear off to Bhutan, and I wish you a very, very safe and enjoyable trip.
Pleasure. Thank you, Bob.
The Podzine.
Well, thanks to Colin for joining me for that chat. And as you heard, colinprior.co.uk is where you will find information on the courses that he runs, be them overseas or in the UK. And certainly, if anybody's a passionate photographer out there and also passionate about the outdoors, I can't imagine a better Christmas present than to spend time learning how to shoot and use the equipment to get the best possible results from it with somebody with his sort of knowledge and background. So all I can do is suggest people to have a look at that. And Colin has very, very kindly donated 12 calendars for today's prizes as well. That's £120 worth of calendars, and more on that competition shortly. But first we're going to have a look at the diary. Now, as we've mentioned in the past, everything tends to be a bit sort of north of England centric when it comes to outdoor events. So I've been hunting around, and I've picked up the diary from the West Midlands Walking Group and Rural Ways. Rural Ways concentrates on events going on in the South East, and the West Midlands is, strangely enough, specialising in the West Midlands. So let's hit the diary button.
So what's happening soon in the great outdoors? The Podzine Diary.
Yes, indeed. As I say, we're taking the diary notes from somebody else's website, but hopefully it'll prove of interest to people in that area. So the West Midlands Walking Group, wmwg.co.uk. They've got a couple of evening moonlight strolls coming up, which sounds very attractive. On Thursday, the 22nd of November at Barston at 7:30, an easy walk by the sound of it. And on the Friday, the 23rd of November at Kenilworth, meeting in the small car park in front of the Kenilworth Castle by the Green and Pub. 2 different leaders there, so there's something a bit different. Now, further down south in Rural Ways, on the 23rd of November, it is a beer festival Beer Festival, food and drink and music. 23rd of November through to the 25th of November. North Hampshire Campaign for Real Ale is planning, together with the Sports and Social Club, for the second Whitchurch Beer Festival, featuring Hampshire beers following the success of last year. And obviously there's be a range of locally brewed beers and ciders, quality award-winning Hampshire sausages, and this year some jazz. The tickets vary from £2.50 to £5, and the information is on the whitchurchbeerfestival.org.uk. That's whitchurchbeerfestival.org.uk. Back to the walking group. Derbyshire on the 24th at Edale, time 11 o'clock. There's a challenging walk of 8 miles. On the Sunday the 29th at Stanage Edge up in Derbyshire, there is another challenging walk of 12 miles. As I say, all the details can be found on the website, and that's the best place to contact people. The Rural Ways, that weekend on Saturday the 1st of December have got a Activities Art and Craft Family Fun Day at the Visitor Centre, Selzy Road, Siddlesham in West Sussex, basically making Christmas decorations out of natural and recycled materials. Fun for all the family, really, but ideally for children aged to 12 and plus. Back to the walking group. Then the 2nd of December, Sunday the 2nd, Bradford and Lathkill Dales, 10:30, a 12-mile walk in the White Peaks. And Saturday the 8th of December, Stretton on Dunsmore, 10:30, 9-mile easy walk, exploring Dunsmore Heath. Very friendly group, actually, the website for the West Midlands walking group, as most walking groups can be, and they certainly seem to encourage people around the sort of 20s to 40s to join in. So do go and have a look at their website, there's more details there. That weekend also we have got down in East Sussex, activities, cleaning rubbish up washed up along the beach by the autumn storms at Rye Harbour Nature Reserve. Information at www.wildrye.info, and that sounds like that'd be quite a useful thing to do, and mix with people from 10 till 1, clearing the beach up and having a look what's around there. And they've also mentioned another one, the 8th of December, a guided tour. West Sussex County Council are organising this one. Booking essential, westsussex.gov.uk, and you can join a conservation warden for a 2.5-hour amble stroll in search of migrant and overwintering wildfowl and waders as numbers steadily build up in the harbour. So that would be quite an interesting one to do as well. Back to the walking group. What a busy bunch they are, eh? So where did we get to? We got to Stretton on Dunsmore on the Sunday the 9th of December, Callow Hill at Bentley and Woodgate, time 10 o'clock, and straightforward walk, apparently it says, 9.5 miles. And then the following week on Saturday the 15th of December, Charity Sutton Park walk in Birmingham, 10:30, grade easy, 7 miles, starting at the Crown Inn on Walsall Road. Sunday the 16th, Guyting Power, lovely place, Guyting Power, time 10 o'clock, straightforward walk, 8 miles, with a pub stop midway. Oh, heavens forbid. And then getting close to Crimble, we have Saturday the 22nd of December, Bunster Hill and Thorpe Cloud. This time it's a 10-mile challenging walk starting at 10 o'clock. Perfect 10-mile winter walk taking in some superb scenery. But there's 2 very steep hills to navigate. Bunster Hill early on in the walk and Thorpe Cloud near the end. Bring packed lunch and there's no pub stop. So where's that? Meeting at Dovedale Car Park. Anyway, all the details are on the website. So just to repeat those 2 websites, that's the West Midlands Walking Group, which is wmwg.co.uk. Nice bunch there. And the Rural Ways, he says, fumbling with bits of paper, hang on a second, is www.ruralways.org.uk, and there's a list of all the events there, and many more than I've actually mentioned. There's a lot more family things as well going on, but I just thought the active events would be more interesting.
The Podzine Diary.
Yes, and this is probably the culmination of a week's anticipation for many people out there, and that is the announcement of the winner for last week's competition, which was to win an Alpkit Pipe Dream 400 sleeping bag worth £105. Donated by Alpkit. Thank you very much indeed, the guys up there at Alpkit, for doing so, and I've spoken to them just before the show and heard that the numbers of people going to the website and entering their Collab 08 competition, which I recommend everybody does who's got an idea for something for the outdoors world, has definitely been on the increase. So thanks for doing that. Your support and the support of all these sort of activities we do between us on the internet are gratefully appreciated. So yes, we had well over 100 entries for the competition. So it only now leaves me just to type in the last couple of things, press go, and see what happens. And here it is, yes, straight off the machine. So, the winner of the Alpkit Pipe Dream 400 sleeping bag is... I like that bit when they leave that gap on the competitions, don't you? It's sort of that anticipation. But if they leave it too long, you sort of get really annoyed. So, the winner is... And it really drives you mad, doesn't it, after a while? It just gets on your wick. Anyway, so the winner is Dave Dean. Dave Dean from Liskeard in Cornwall. Congratulations, Dave. Thank you for your comments and note as well. He said, the Funky Dabber. That was the question. What is a Funky Dabber? Well, on the Alpkit website, it tells you. The Funky Dabber is a chalk bag with a funky print. Absolutely right. And he says, P.S. Keep up the good work with the podcast. Really helps me going at work, although the headphones hanging out of my ears always garner a funny look. So, Dave, congratulations. Alpkit will be in touch with you via your email address that you've given me to just ask you if you would prefer red or black, or which side you would like your zip on. So, congratulations on that, and I hope you have many, many cosy nights sleeping in that. So, stay tuned. We've got more competitions coming. As I said earlier on, Colin Prior has very, very graciously donated us some calendars, 12 calendars, all about the £10 or £12 mark. These are these beautiful big calendars. I've got them all sitting here, actually. Just pulling them across now. The Endangered Species calendar, Scotland Wild Places, the World's Wild Places, which is this massive thing, and calendar 2008, capturing the essence of Scotland's wild places, and they are just beautiful. I love photography, as you may or may not have gathered so far, and Colin's work is just wonderful. So these, I've got 12 of them to give away, and they will grace the walls, I'm sure, of many an office or home, and leave you with anticipation of places to go and see when you look at the pictures. So we've got to come up with a suitable competition, of course, and the fairest one, I think, is this. Now, on Colin Prior's website, which is colinprior.co.uk, there is a description of each of the items that he produces, be them calendars or books or whatever. Now, one of the sentences that describes the particular product starts with this, and I want to know what the final words are. The sentence says, in the description, in this unique collection of photography, Colin has spent the last 10 years documenting the last of the wild, remote lands at the furthest extremes of the Earth. From the shifting ice sheets of Greenland to the oxygen-starved where? So let me repeat that. The sentence is, in this unique collection of photography, Colin has spent the last 10 years documenting the last of the wild remote lands at the furthest extremes of the Earth. From the shifting ice sheets of Greenland to the oxygen-starved blank. Fill that blank in. There is a place name there, and what I'd like you to do is fill it in, give me your details. If you would please do ensure you put your name and address and contact details on the email. So many have just come in with just the answer. It would be easier for me and everybody else if you could just provide the details so we can ship the stuff straight out to you. And the email address to send your entry to is colinprior-competition@theoutdoorstation.co.uk. So that's Colin Prior-competition at theoutdoorstation.co.uk. And on the show notes with this show will be obviously a direct link to that. It's on the website as well, theoutdoorstation.co.uk, along with a whole variety of other links and comments and feedback we're getting from people as well. And it's your chance to win a beautiful calendar in time for Christmas, either for yourself or a member of the family. So I do hope you find the answer to that. It is relatively easy to find. It just takes 5 or 10 minutes to hunt around the site, and you can play the sentence back, but you're looking for the sentence that starts from the shifting ice sheets of Greenland to the oxygen-starved where? ? So tell me that, and you could be a lucky winner. Once again, we're pulling them all out of the hat next week, and we will then ship the goods straight out to people. So that pretty well brings that show to an end. I can't think of anything else I've got to add to that. So thanks once again for joining me. I do hope you've enjoyed the show, where we try and keep the ball rolling. We're trying to keep a few more things happening as well. And we will see you again, same time next week. Have a good week now. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
This independent programme has been brought to you by The Outdoors Station, the exciting new way to see and hear free information about the outdoors world. If you're a blogger, or if you have a website, you can now incorporate any of these podcasts directly to your site, completely free. Visit our website, theoutdoorstation.co.uk, for more information.